Rod and Style Television presents The Blue Martian, starring Zac Parks, along with his 1928 Ford. Watch as he restores it into a 1960s East Coast hot rod from outer space.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 7 of the Blue Martian. I've been so excited to this point. We got the front of it boxed. I waited for the center to box because I'm going to be cutting out the rear section of the frame and putting on these beautiful Boling brother kick-ups in the back. I love this. This looks way cooler than a Z. Huge shout out to Boling Brothers Early Iron for supplying us with this rear kick-up. This is new for them to sell just the kick-up. So check them out as I work them and put them on this frame. I think they are really good quality. They're not welded, they're manual bent, solid, one single piece. For me, that gives me a big peace of mind. There's no welds going in here except for what I'm doing. And what I'm going to do is actually put a plate on the inside of the frame and weld it to my frame and weld it, put some rosette welds or the cut welds, butt welds, whatever you call them. And I'm gonna weld that along the outside of the frame too. So this will have multiple contacts of welds and not all my weight is just sitting on that center weld that I cut off here. Now, Derek at Boling Brothers was nice enough to give me a lot of measurements. He said it should be this. Double check your work and just make sure you get out the same measurements that he does. And in fact, I did get the same measurements that he does. So I really appreciate him going the extra mile and telling me exactly where it should be cut and how much kick up. We're gonna have 5-inch kick up in the back. Now, what I really like about these manual bent kick-ups is they're bent back towards the inside. And as you know, a Model A frame tapers and gets wider towards the back. Well, this one, it comes out of the taper, manual bends back in, and gives us a whole rear section parallel. That makes fabric the cross member on the back a lot easier. This makes up a lot of measurements and a lot of different things way easier if it would have been otherwise if it just kept getting wider and wider. So I really appreciate them adding that detail to this. Also, they have these nice access holes in case you wanted to actually run running boards still. So you could put this on a fendered hot rod and get a lot lower and not lose the running boards. So that's pretty cool. Still run running boards and fenders on these manual bent frame rails. They look good. I think they'll look way better than a notch or cutting the frame and bringing the frame up, stuff like that. So I'm super excited to get this on there. Also, he was nice enough to leave me extra hanging off the back. These are a lot longer than what a stock Model A would be. Obviously, you can see how much they hang over on the back. So the thought for that was I'm channeling a bed really hard over the frame. And that extra length of frame just gives me more places to mount the bed further back. Anyone who's built a Model A pickup truck know the frames bolt up, or the beds bolt up on the front, and they hang off way far off the back of a frame rail. But it's nice now, it's not going to be that type of situation because he extended the frame rails for me. The bed's not going to be hanging way further than the mounting points. I can actually mount the front and hopefully all the way to the back of the bed on the frame itself. So let's get it started. The very first thing I'm going to do is cut off my supports on the table that I've been using on the back, bring them forward to where my cut marks are so I can grab the frame really nice and straight and make sure it doesn't move on me at all. But I also have bracing still here in the middle. So this should all work out with my jig really, really well on the table here. So if you're just tuning into the Blue Martian, make sure you tune into some of the older episodes to see how we made this jig on my I-beam table. But let's get started. Alright, so ignore the fact that this is sitting on top of the frame, the Model A frame. This is my working welding table for my shop. I only have so much space. So if I have something on this table, I'm working around it. That's just how it is. So I just have this here to jig it up. Boling Brothers was nice enough to let me know that these are mandrel bent in on the back. And from the mandrel bent in to the very end, these should be parallel at 35 inches wide all the way down. So what I did was just clamp it to the Model A frame to keep it from sliding around on the table. Then I clamped it down to these square tubings and tapped it in and out to get it at 35 inches from here all the way to the mandrel bent. That lets me know that this is completely parallel. And since I clamped it down on the square tubing, it keeps it from rocking back and forth. It clamps it down straight, so it gives us straight across the top. Neither one of these frame rails are tucked this way or that way. So now what I can do is line this up on the frame, because it's just sitting here. Like I said, I'm just using this workbench because this is all I got. So what I'm going to do now is figure out where I'm going to cut it. Derek at Boling Brothers let me know exactly where everything should be. The center of this should be 32 inches and 3/8. We should be 4 inches and 7/8 from the cut. Should be 4 inches and 7/8 from the top hole for the running board mounting bracket. So that's everything we're working off of, and I'll be able to move it forward and back. And now that this is all one piece and it's parallel and exactly how it should be, the whole back will swing back and forth together as a unit, instead of me trying to fix this frame rail, trying to fix that frame rail, trying to make it, you know, it just makes it easier. I don't have to work all these million angles because I know this angle is welded together. It's going to stay like that until I put my rear cross member on and it's welded to the frame solid. So ready on for the next step. This is the first bracket I've actually welded to the frame instead of clamping them. I've been clamping them all with the idea of I'm going to unclamp it, flip the frame upside down, and finish the welds on the bottom and clamp it again. So I'm welding this one in this time because I'm going to cut the rear end of this frame rail off, and it's going to be, you know, who knows. I just want to be as safe as I possibly can when I come to cut this off right here and start to get on my angles. I don't want the frame to change anything on me. So I welded this one in. I'm going to weld that one in. After I get this rear frame section back on, I'll cut all this back out so I can flip the frame upside down and finish my boxing plates and all that kind of good stuff. Okay, so I use my Truler's ruler here. I like to use this a lot. It's a flexible, like fabric style ruler. And what's awesome about it is the center of the ruler is 0, then it measures from center. So I know the center mark in the forward frame here is the center for the axle. This is where the axle bolt goes through. That goes to, not the axle bolt, but the leaf spring bolt. And that centers the axle in the frame. So that's the center of the frame. And if I use my Truler's ruler from the center, I should have the same measurement on both sides, which I do. Then I have my cut 4 7/8 forward from the running board upper mount. So the upper hole mount there. So now that I know everything is square, now I know everything is centered, I have my exact cut line. So all I have to do is just mark it on the frame, cut it off, the back of this frame is gone. still fell anyway. Just didn't fall when I was cutting it. So I have extra boxing plate material. What I've done is cut this at 14 inches. I'm gonna have 7 inches in, 7 inches out. And I'm gonna weld this inside the frame. Then I'm gonna cut a bunch of rosette weld holes inside that rear kick-up. So I'm gonna weld this solid here. I'm gonna have a bunch of welds here. Then I'm gonna have another one on this side, on the inside. So it's gonna be as structural and so this is gonna be as strong as it possibly can be. It'll be welded down the center here. It'll be welded all the way in here. It'll be welded on both sides. So it's not gonna get much stronger than this, guys. There's nothing to worry about. When I'm going 75 miles an hour down the highway, I hit a pothole, I'm not gonna worry about the back of this frame cracking, because this is what most people would consider overkill. I like to overkill all my projects. So it's a peace of mind. So I'll be driving this confidently, really laying into it hard, driving it hard, and I won't be worried about this rear hookup or any of the welds. Oh yeah? Do you like it, Bullet? What are you doing, garage pup? Alright, so I finally got this rear kick-up slid on here. It's not coming back off. I have drilled a bunch of holes for plug welds, rosette welds, whatever you call them. And like I said, I always do everything overkill. It just makes me feel better about my work. So this is definitely overkill. I have a big plate in here that's connecting both pieces. I'm going to weld it on both sides. You already see me welded on the Model A frame side. The rosette holes here, it's going to allow me to weld it from the outside. For the kick-up, the 3 holes on the back, that's the running board holes. I just drilled them a little bit larger to make better rosette welds. Also, through this little gap here, I can see my plate. So I'm going to weld my plate to this as much as I can through this little gap here. Next, after I get this welded on, I am going to slide these plates that I made inside here, and that's how I'm going to plug this access hole for the running boards. I'm going to weld this plate on the inside of here. Then when I box the rest of the frame right here that's in between, I'll drill holes in that boxing plate and weld it to this. So this will be double welded on the inside and outside. So it's going to be super, super safe. Like I said, my whole point was to go 70 miles an hour down the highway, hit a bad pothole, and not worry about the back of the frame blowing off the truck. So this is going to give me a lot of peace of mind. I'm going to be super confident. I plan on having enough horsepower to put a wheelie bar on the back of this car. So stuff like this, I need to just get it done as perfect and as welded as much as I can. So later on, I'm not even thinking about it ever again. So this is working out awesome. I leveled everything off. This level here is the same as the frame level. So this back piece isn't tipped up or down. I already squared this whole piece off, so I know it's square. And I know my cuts are the exact same length, so both sides are pushed forward the exact same amount. So measurement, 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 everything ends up turning out really, really nice like this and easy to assemble. Now, let's get this welded on with some hot welds. The idea behind this is to have good enough welds, hot enough welds, and since the bed will be over this, you won't see this from the outside of the car. I'm not grinding any of this down at all. Good hot welds, not ground down. All strength and structural integrity that I can possibly get right here in this small section. got the rear kick up on. I'm so excited about this. This looks great. Really want to thank Boling Brothers for making these awesome Mindrel bent kick ups in the back. I've done a lot of steps, Z's, stuff like that. And by far, this is my favorite. First time doing it like this. This is my favorite way to do it from now on. These are pretty inexpensive and they're way stronger than a bunch of other options that are out there. So I love these kick ups and I love how they go back to parallel all the way back. This makes mounting stuff so much easier. That's it for this episode. Even though I guess I'm just excited about every episode now. Doing all this is a lot of fun. This is what I like to do. But the next episode, we're gonna put the rear cross member on, and I'm gonna take it off the jig, put it on the ground, and put my axles underneath it. Because what I need to do in the next episode is put my transmission cross member in. So I gotta set the engine and transmission down in here. So I have this beautiful tubular K member for this. It's not gonna be any like square tubing or anything weird like that. It's gonna be this awesome K member. So I'm gonna set the engine and transmission down inside the frame, get the engine sitting just right, weld in my motor mounts, weld in the transmission cross member, then I'll be able to weld in that K member, then I'll be able to weld in the crossbar for our ladder bar rear end. So I was so excited to get to this point. Now that I'm to this point, I'm so excited to get to the next point. Since we're putting the motor in the next episode, hopefully, that means I have to put my big slicks on my rear tires, and I have to get the right size tires for the front. So when I put the engine and transmission in, I can get that pinion angle, output shaft angle, everything right then and there. So, whew, can't wait to put it back on the ground. You know, as soon as I put it back on the ground, I'm gonna put the body on it just to get a look. You can't help it, jumping ahead just out of excitement. So. Can't wait to cut these braces out of here. When I put the rear cross member in, I can cut that one out. When I put in the transmission mount, I can cut this one out and my other one out right there. So that's what I'm waiting for, and I'm just excited for every episode, guys. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to Rod and Style. Have a good one.